Well, hello there, folks. How are you? It's Kenneth James Kerr once again, and thank you for joining me today in the video library. I do appreciate you being here today. Today we're going to take a look at the vignette on page 20 of the paperback, and if you happen to have the hardback, you'll find it on page 26. It's a very, very short quotation. Here's how it goes. Your attitude determines your altitude. That's it. That's the whole quotation. Your attitude determines your altitude. Now, I've said before, you folks have probably figured out, of course, that I'm a great aviation enthusiast. And one of the things I like to do when I get the opportunity is to sit at the end of a runway of a large airport and watch the airliners taking off. I've got so many pictures that I've taken over the years, just at that point where the nose comes up and then it starts to lift off the ground. Now, you've probably seen that as well at some point in time, either in real life or in television, movies, or whatever, okay? So what's going on when you see an aircraft going down the runway and suddenly the nose wheel lifts off like that? Well, what's happening is it's got to the point of what we call rotation. You see, as the aircraft is accelerating down the runway, what's happening is the airflow is going over the wings. And as the airflow goes over the wings and under the wings, it begins to generate a difference in pressure between the air at the top of the wing and the air below the wing. There's a difference in pressure, and as a result of that pressure, lift begins to generate, and the wing is literally sucked up. How many of you knew that? That an aircraft stays in the air a lot because of the fact that it's being sucked up instead of pushed up? Do you want to see how true that is? Let me show you. This blew me away the first time I saw it. Bit of paper. What's going to happen if I blow along the top of the bit of paper? Someone says, well, it's going to push it down. Watch. See how it lifts? Pressure. And that's what happens to a wing. But when the aircraft gets to a certain point in terms of speed, there has to be that point of rotation, where the pilot pulls back on the stick. So what the pilot's actually doing is changing the attitude of the wing in terms of how it hits the oncoming air. Changes the angle of attack, changes the attitude. And with the change of attitude, in some cases, there's 3 times the amount of lifting force created by changing the attitude. In other words, you change the attitude and it changes the altitude as the aircraft goes up. So there you go. There's your lesson in aerodynamics today. Oh, you didn't think that was coming, did you? You might never look at an aircraft the same way again. But right there is an incredible illustration for life. You see, most aircraft will not take off if they don't change the attitude, even though they've got inherent lift built into the design of the wing. It takes that change of attitude to be able to appreciate the design and move up. And you also are designed to move up in life. That's what growth is all about, isn't it? I mean, just in the natural physical way of things, we're designed for growth. We're designed to advance. We're designed to grow. We're designed to increase our potential and our capabilities and the results within life. That just seems to be the way that life actually is. In other words, you're designed to fly. You're designed to soar. You're not designed to stay groveling around on the ground and never grow. But if you want to gain that altitude in life, it's not just about the things that you know. It's not just about the job that you do. It's not even about the people that you know and your contacts. A lot of it has to do with your attitude. And when you change your attitude, you change the altitude. Now, you and I both have attitudes. I was looking at a list last night of over 160 different attitudes. And I thought to myself, man, if I talk about all those, I mean, this will be a course. It won't just be a lesson. It won't just be a video. But what is your attitude? And what is an attitude? Well, somebody says your attitude is your state of mind with regard to a particular situation or a particular person or a particular thing. And that's a very, very good definition. Your attitude is a state of mind. Another good definition is to say that your attitude is your policy of living. Your attitude seems to blend with your character. You see, your character is who you are and what you are. But your attitude seems to blend with that in terms of how you respond, how you bring your character out there into the world, how you demonstrate it, how you show it, how you manifest it, how you relate to the world around you. And so it can become a policy for living, and it can also certainly be that state of mind with reference to different situations. Now, because it's a state of mind with reference to different situations, it also means that your attitude has the potential to change in given situations. For example, you may have a good attitude towards somebody when things are going well, but if that person crosses you, your attitude towards that same person and what you show and what you demonstrate and what you live in terms of your relationship with them may completely change. So attitude can be situational. Attitude can change, whereas character, hopefully, is a baseline that you have a good, solid, wonderful, loving character. So is there a goal here? Maybe there is. If you have inherently, essentially, a good character, then the goal is to bring your attitudes into harmony with that good character, regardless of the situations, regardless of the people, and regardless of the things that you come into contact with. Make your attitude more consistent. Not just consistent with the different situations of life, but consistent with the good character that undergirds your very essential being. So let's talk a little bit about attitudes, give a few examples, and encourage each other to be the best that we can be. I guess there's a baseline, isn't there? You could say that the baseline is this, the base division, is that you and I can either have a good attitude or we can have a bad attitude. Now, everything else falls within those two categories when it comes to the way that you and I live in the world. There's a whole difference between good attitude and bad attitude, isn't there? I mean, it's massive. You know when someone has a bad attitude. You know when that's their baseline. It comes across in everything that they do. It comes across in everything that they say. It's almost as if that's a reflection of a flaw within the character. And you also know generally when somebody has a good attitude. It's just the way they approach life. So there's that initial base point. Like I say, there's a whole difference between the two. Massive difference between the two. You could say it's kind of like the person that sees life as being a glass that's half full compared to a person that sees life as being a glass that's half empty. There's a difference right there, a foundational base difference. But within that base point, within that reference, within those two major parameters and characteristics, again, there are multiple different attitudes. So when you think of attitude determining altitude, do you think a good attitude is going to get you further ahead than a bad attitude? Well, surely to ask that question is to answer it, isn't it? Yeah, of course it is. Who would you rather deal with today? Someone that has a good attitude towards life, or somebody that has a bad attitude to life? Right. You know you'd rather deal with someone that has a good attitude. Now, what if you're that someone? If you have a good attitude towards life today and every day, don't you think people are going to want to deal with you better than they would want to deal with you if you have a lousy attitude? And as you deal with people and you present a better attitude towards life, don't you think that's going to bring you up in life in terms of your career, your job, the way that you deal with folk, the way they deal with you, your relationships, your feelings? Of course it is. So have a good attitude as your baseline, because it will serve you. Your attitude determines your altitude. And knowing that your attitude can change because of circumstances, then your goal, as I say, is to bring your attitude in every situation into harmony with your good character. So let's talk about just a few examples. And bear in mind, I saw a list of 160 different attitudes. We're not going to talk about 160, but we're going to throw a few out there just for the heck of it. One, there's the attitude that is active. Now, you could also say that's a disposition, isn't it? There's an active attitude. The way that you deal with life is to say, I'm going to be active, I'm going to be busy, I'm going to do things, I'm going to move ahead, I'm going to get busy, okay, we get the picture, right? That's an attitude towards life. It's an attitude towards the conditions of life that come your way. I'm going to face these conditions with activity, with proactivity, maybe with ambition. You could lump all of that into one thing if you want. Now, what's the opposite to that? Apathy. And worse, laziness. If you see somebody that has a lazy, apathetic attitude towards life, what kind of picture do you get of them? Well, you know fine well what the picture is. They're not going to be doing much, are they? Now compare that with someone that is active. Someone whose very attitude towards life is one of activity. Meeting it head on, getting on with it, making something of it. Now, between those two polarities of attitude, do you think there's going to be a difference in their results? Yeah. No question about it. And again, you can look at that and you can apply it towards your personal life. You can apply it towards your relationships. You can apply it towards your job, business, career. Better to have an active attitude. Another one is anxiety. Do you know people who have an anxious attitude towards life? Yeah, you might be one of them. Full disclosure, one of the reasons that I have spent so many years studying personal development is because I have suffered with anxiety issues as well in my life for decades. It's not a nice place to be because anxiety breeds anxiety. And you can get to that point where everything worries you, everything concerns you, everything depresses you, everything makes you look twice and look for the danger instead of looking for the good. I've been there. I've been there. I know what it's like to live there. I know what it's like to waste years and years and years of your life shrinking because of anxiety. And here's what I've learned. Anxiety is an attitude. Anxiety is a way of living. Anxiety can become a policy of life. Anxiety truly can be a state of mind with respect to a situation, a person, or a thing. And if it is a state of mind, you and I have the right to change our mind. And folks, it doesn't take a prescription drug to do it. That might play a role, but for God's sake, don't get stuck in it, because I did that too. So what's the opposite of this attitude of anxiety, this condition? Well, the opposite is a calm attitude, isn't it? Calmness, inner peace. We've spoken about inner peace in a previous video. Calm, inner peace. Now you take that inner peace as you continue to develop it, and you take that out into the world, and you take it with you into situations. You take it with you as you deal with people. You take it with you as you come across the things of life, right? It's a change. It's not easy to change from a habit and an attitude of anxiety to one of calmness. It does take work. But it is possible if you make the decision that that's the attitude you want to foster. Another one kind of related to that is confidence. You think of an attitude of confidence towards life compared to an attitude of total reserved shyness. If you begin to create in your life an attitude that becomes a habit of reservedness, of shyness, of holding back, of reclusiveness, you'll shrink and shrink and shrink and shrink as a person. It'll dump on your life, it'll dump on your thinking, it'll dump on your feelings, it'll dump on your image of yourself, and it'll just put you in the ditch and keep you there. I know, because I've done that too. And it's horrible. It's much, much better to say, you know what? I am going to present, I'm going to develop, even if I have to do some real self-examination and some self-work, I am going to present, develop, and bring to the world a level of confidence. Because confidence is like a flower. It begins small, and it grows, and it grows, and it grows. But if anxiety and reservedness keep you down here, and you get comfortable with the negative attitudes of anxiety, fear, doubt, worry, reservedness, then you get to the point you don't even allow yourself to grow. Confidence is an attitude. Reservedness is also an attitude. Here's another one. Loving compared to hateful. Oh, that's a big one, isn't it? I've often said on here too that love is seeking the other person's highest good, which means you've got to seek your own highest good as well. Now that's an attitude, that's a choice, that's a decision, that's a way of being, that's a policy of life. And if you decide to be that, then everything you do in life will change. But if you decide that you're going to be hateful and mean, that's not a very nice attitude or policy of living either. Well, there's more. We could talk about being light-hearted compared to being serious. Accepting life with a skip in your step, a smile on your face. You know, that's a whole different way of being in the world compared to being serious all the time. Oh my God, what's going to happen, right? It's an attitude towards life. It's an attitude towards yourself, an attitude towards people, conditions, and things. And you can choose your attitude. How about open-mindedness compared to closed-mindedness? We've got a vignette coming up on that at some point in time in the future as well. Closed-mindedness is a terrible place to be, because you think you know it all, and you're not open to growth, and you're not open to the opinions and thoughts and input of other people. And that's an attitude. Oh, don't bother me with the facts, I know it. I don't need new information. Well, they disagree with my narrative, I'm not going to listen to them. I'm not even going to let them be on the internet because they disagree with me. I'm so sure of my position. I'm the science. Ooh. By God, we've seen that the last 3 years, haven't we? Closed, bloody mindedness. Open-mindedness is an attitude. Closed-mindedness, that's an attitude too, but it's not a good one. Humility compared to, what's the opposite of humility? Haughtiness, pride? I guess those are good opposites, aren't they, of it? What is humility? Is it lack of confidence? No. Humility is thinking correctly of yourself and your capabilities instead of thinking that yours is the only way and that you're right in every situation and that everyone else is wrong. You can be humble and open-minded and confident at all the same time, with the correct blend and mixing of those attitudes. How about tolerance versus judgment? How about professional versus, again, apathetic and disagreeable and so on? How about kind as opposed to unkind? I mean, you know, we could go on. I'm over 20 minutes already. We could go on and on and on exploring different attitudes because, like I say, there's at least 160 of them, if not more. Let's just simply say this. Your attitude determines your altitude. And if you want to get ahead in life, career, relationships, friendships, your own personal feeling about who and what you are in the world and how you deal with the world, then we have to have 1, awareness of our current attitudes. 2, honest evaluation of where we're at. 3, intention to change and decision to change. And 4, determination and discipline to do it. And 5, the vision to keep it going during the change process to develop a better attitude. Your attitude determines your altitude. And I encourage you today to be the best you that you can be. To have the best attitudes in every situation that you can have. And to allow those attitudes to express the goodness of your character, so that as you're going down the runway of life anyway, generating lift, that you can increase the lift and increase the altitude of your life. This is Kenneth James Kerr, and I'll see you in the next video.